Hello, everybody. Welcome back. Thank you for staying tuned to Security Live, special edition of Security Live, mind you. We're streaming from the floor of Black Hat USA in Las Vegas, Nevada, where it's about 417 degrees Fahrenheit outside. We are in this nice air-conditioned cocoon and having a great time today. I'm one of your co-hosts for the day, Ryan Orsi at AWS. I'm one of the security go-to-market leaders here, and it means I get to talk security with all sorts of folks that are making AWS security, partners that are handling security in the cloud and other clouds all over the planet. Before we get to that exciting story, though, let's talk about Frank. Hey.
Thanks, Ryan.
How's it going?
I feel like every time you do this intro, you add 10 degrees in Fahrenheit to the temperature that you're talking about.
I'm just reading what my watch tells me. 417 is pretty warm.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Well, great to be here. My name is Frank Schwartz, and I'm also part of the security specialist organization and have been helping partners go to market for the last 5 years here. So Opti is one of them, and very happy to have you here, Barak.
Pleasure is mine. Thank you for having me.
Welcome. For those online watching on the YouTube channel, AWS Partner Networks, lob the hardest question you can at Barak here. So, also, would you mind introducing yourself? Let's tell the friends and family who you are, what you do.
Sure. So very high level. So I won't repeat myself 1,000 times during the next 20 minutes. Software engineer by trade, but my co-founders kicked me out of that profession long ago. So basically, the CEO, founder of Opti, been in cybersecurity for the past 20 years now.
Our producer has the most lively way of getting our attention.
The last thing before I came up, she said, "Don't look at the camera, look at Frank." And now, so
Frank is about 17 feet tall. I know he's a handsome man.
I'm actually sitting on the floor. I'm not on the chair.
Sorry, Barak. We just destroyed your intro. Let's do it again.
Barak, software, I can't use the same joke again. Software engineer by trade, being kind of the CEO, co-founder. Opti is now the second company that the same team we founded.
Oh, cool.
Previous company acquired by Tenable, spent a few years at Tenable.
Congratulations, awesome.
Thank you very much. Understood we have more fuel in the tank. So the same team, we started Opti about 2-3 years ago, and really coming in to solve identity governance, pretty much.
Oh, my. Let's get into it, sir. So, solving identity and governance, I'm assuming we're going to hit a little bit of agent identity and governance. And I mean, where Frank and I sit, we're at the Grand Central Station of a lot of conversations with customers and partners, and everyone is out there saying, I've got agents, or maybe I have agents if I have visibility on the agents, but they're inheriting what kind of identity and permissions and authorization to different data tables and data sets. And there's a general sense of, can I trust this agent to do what it needs to do within a specified scope? And are people taking that seriously? And it always goes back to an identity governance, identity management, access sort of conversation. What did you all find at Opti, and what have you built?
Sure thing, and I think you nailed it, because one of the reasons we tackled identity, we saw it as kind of the final boss of cybersecurity.
Final boss. I love this, yes.
It's so intertwined with the business activity and what is going on with the business. And I think there's two factors that kind of drove us into the market. One is exactly as you said. Yeah. Agents are spreading all over the enterprise. And there's different type of agent. You mentioned kind of me stewarding my agents. Maybe I'm a financial manager trying to close the end of month reports. And I have my agents working on my behalf. They're connected to all type of system. They inherit my access in many ways. But I have the agents that the HR team is building. They are serving other employees in the company. Then the agent has to personify to their access pattern and give information to them. Completely two different use cases without even mentioning engineering and how they leverage AI, etc. So what we see is a lot of security managers and teams being concerned exactly what you said about how agents are going. But at the same time, security manager at an enterprise is not willing to hear about another solution coming in to solve a specific problem, and they're looking for that one-stop shop. And so that's kind of around agents. The other half of the problem is still the humans, pretty much surprisingly.
Naughty humans.
Surprisingly so. One of the, I think, amazing things, part of the identity governance sector, trying to stay away from the TLAs, is that...
Wait.
Oh, here we go.
Barak, one Mississippi, two Mississippi. What does TLA stand for?
It counts.
It counts.
Yeah. Three-letter acronyms.
Three-letter acronyms.
That's the
I love it. But hey, he's only going to put in a 5 5 US
First
dollar
offense.
denomination. First offense.
First offense.
Love it.
First offense. But basically, what we were super surprised to find out is that the human side processes, granting access, removing access, onboarding, just-in-time access for privileged servers and materials, it happens so manually still these days.
It's not so temporary. It's not so just in time, is it? It's sort of like becomes pretty persistent accidentally, doesn't it?
It's persistent across the generations. That's what's fascinating. You have one IT manager that had access to everything in the company, and from now on, everyone else joining that team is getting the copy of their permissions. Doesn't matter if they use it, they don't use it, and come audit and review season, we can say that too much effort, and it's not the fault of the application managers. They don't have the data on how to process, should they remove access or not. So that's what's, I think, fascinating, combining the agentic and the human access at the same time.
So did you start off from the human and went into the AI, or did you start on the AI and then also, realize the human element is important?
Sure, great question. So the Opti started in tandem with Gen AI. In many terms, we were lucky. So back then, we were looking what's the best way to harness models, and kind of long story short, we fine-tune and train our models, essentially building specialized AI is okay. It's not that terminology, right? It's not
the general bar here is if my mother, probably tuned in watching right now, gets it, then it's not an acronym.
I like it. So basically, we're building specialized AI that understands identity and access management in an enterprise.
Interesting.
We started from the human perspective because that was the pressing problem 2 years ago, and then we saw the opportunity. What creates the urgency now in the market is, okay, even if we got some handle of our humans in the past, now let's see what's coming. I'm that finance manager we talked about before. I'm going to have 5 agents next year. Do I want them to have standing access both to my ERP and my SharePoint and my CRM? That's unthinkable. So you have to get an AI quarterback if you want to implement AI agents inside your org.
And is everyone registering these agents, Barak?
Sure they do, yes. They ask permission.
They go to their boss.
Everything is controlled, for sure.
That's what they do. It's a fascinating discussion when people ask us, how do we do the discovery piece?
Yeah.
Really. And, at the end of the day, you can only do what you can physically do. If someone uses their laptop, goes on a private website, registers to a new agent, there's no limit besides eventually sitting on their computer, monitoring their traffic. But security teams are happy to do that.
They don't like agents on laptops as much as they used to. You remember that? Barak, that was the thing, right? You buy that new laptop, crack it open, and 45 installers are coming in at you. But that's kind of going by the wayside, right? It's just inefficient. And AI is all about being more efficient. And you all watching are probably under some sort of pressure or ask from your boss or management to use AI, be more efficient, whether you're in marketing, sales, product development, security. But Barak, to your point, you said, I think, 5 agents for that finance manager. We had a previous guest on earlier today who came in from outside. I think it was only 396 degrees during that particular time window. But there was a comment about Gartner estimating 150 to 200,000 agents on average per mid-sized enterprise company by next year. And I think that's just the evolution of what you're talking about. Like, how big do you see this going with individuals that are not technical, vibe coding agents? Where's the line? Do you see everyone doing it, or do you see like a general concentration of, like, if you're in a tech role, you're going to be doing this more?
Sure. I think it's fascinating. It's one of those Bell diagrams where if you're not tech savvy, if you're very tech savvy, you're going to have a ton of agents. If you're not tech savvy, you're going to have a ton of agents because you created them by mistake. Every time you thought you're updating the previous one, you're creating a new one.
Yeah.
So we're definitely going to see that exponential explosion of agents in the enterprise. I think that honestly, I know it's maybe not the most popular thing around AWS, etc. We're seeing the biggest hurdle as the non-engineering teams in these organizations because they don't have the expertise. They don't have that things that we look at coming in and tracking the evolution of models in the past few years. We understand what they can do and what you can't even expect them to do. That understanding doesn't come from people who handled finance and marketing all those years. I think there's a known comics, I think the XKCD ones, that talk about 2 for an outsider, two very simple questions on can AI do something, and one is impossible and one is kind of very simple, kind of distinguish is it a cat or a mouse and predict tomorrow's weather. Two simple questions, one impossible, one not. I think it's a big risk for the enterprises.
So do you recommend education? What do you recommend, right? And so there's tech, and then there's like just the understanding, there's just the mutual understanding of, like, for example, I call them the helping McHelpersons, the Brian Mendenhalls of companies. These are other co-hosts that are just vibe coding agents by accident. And every time they tell the thing to do something else, they're actually creating a brand new agent. The old one's still dormant, still has the same access inherited by the user. Exactly. What do you do? Because we've been pushing in the industry for, security as a culture, as a topic. It belongs in a shared ownership across everybody in the company. That's kind of our Amazon culture way. Do you feel like that's an educational awareness problem, tech problem? Where do you sit there?
Sure. I think it's both, and I would go with the unpopular side of better enforcement.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, the risk and the stakes are so high that you can't treat it casually, like someone doing a mini project on the evenings and they have a new cool homegrown software that people access. It's not like that. It's the same, if not worse, as onboarding a new employee. You wouldn't imagine onboarding someone to the company, just handing them a laptop, giving them some access to GitHub, and go on and we'll fix things later. It has to be kind of secured by design, and I think it has to be implemented more rigorously.
So you established what needs to be done, but how do your customers consume those findings? Like, where does that land? How's that consumed?
Sure thing. So I would say, first and foremost, they do consume findings eventually through our favorite parties, through Security Hub Extended, but we try to focus them not to focus on findings, but to actually act on findings and go and remediate. I think maybe the biggest trend in cybersecurity overall in past years has been we're tired of visibility. We have the visibility, we just don't have enough information to act on the data. How do we remediate risk? So that's kind of the front foot that we're trying to put in, and that single pane of glass makes a lot of sense when it comes, again, the part of the Security Hub Extended program where they see the findings with already the remediation suggestions. Here's the groups that need to be changed, and kind of what we found is it's not the sexy part of GenAI, but a lot of what GenAI brings to the table, which we never had before, is I call it logistics automation. It's simply by collecting dozens and dozens of data points at the same time. None of them requires rocket science to analyze. They're the mundane portions, but it can save a lot of time in convoluting them together and getting those findings, essentially.
Well said, sir. And I've been hearing you talk about, like, the old way of handling security versus the new way. What in the old way? So the old way of just kind of detect, and then raise priority and severity of a detection. What part of that is broken, in your opinion, compared to what you all are providing with Opti?
Sure. So I think in many ways, in the identity realm, what you said didn't even get to that point. Most organizations, they don't look and don't dive deep into the identity-related findings because they know they have nothing to do with it afterwards. Kind of, okay, someone didn't access their Salesforce instance in the past 3 months. In order to make it into an intelligent decision-making, I have to gather 20 other data points around it. Does the rest of this team have access to Salesforce as well? How often does someone use a CRM? How often, kind of depending on their role, depending on the specific compliance of the organization. So essentially, what we saw most users, they gave up even before they started.
The analysts would just give up and say, this looks pretty hard.
It goes back eventually to someone new joining the team. Most likely, 9 out of 10 cases, they will get the same permissions that someone in the team already had. And because this goes for decades now, then you see every time, I think, I'm not sure if Gartner or one other report says that eventually most of the cyber attacks in recent years, they stem from an identity origin or identity compromise. And you see time and time again, I think Microsoft was a very big example a few years ago, that you had service identity that simply had overprivileged accounts, didn't have MFA on, and it remained there for a few years. In the MGM, since we're in Black Hat, I hope it's allowed to talk about the MGM hack. Eventually, I think it was an IT service manager that simply has a lot of access and was able to being copied that access time and time again.
Don't worry, if security comes for you, we got your back, Barak. We got your back.
So how would I imagine a regular customer onboarding story of like, okay, I've established the problem, but how do customers work with Opti? Where do they fit in? Tell me a little bit.
Sure thing. So it's interesting. We have kind of two types of customers, I would say. One, the mid-market, 1,000 to 5,000 employees, they're now seeing that problem. They're seeing that they had their IDP, their access management, but they weren't able to govern identities, compliance-wise, risk-wise. And now it goes back to your original question. The reason they're acting now is because they see the agents coming around the door. They say, if we don't get a handle on this now, then we are going to be in a big problem a year down the road. And then you have the enterprises, the 20,000s and above. They probably have an identity governance solution of one way or another.
There's a committee, of course, as well. There's a council of Elrond on that one. Yeah.
There's a committee, there's professional services in order to deploy everything, in order to maintain everything, and they're a bit tired of it. No, they've been promised for the past few years, they've been promised that AI is going to change your life.
Right.
I think what was missed a few years, and now we have a lot of good companies building in different spaces, is that verticalized AI. Specialized AI that was trained exactly on your profession for the past 20 years, and it can really give you that everything you need, but that last mile.
Interesting. Do you see that verticalized AI also helping people get more comfortable with accepting automated remediation? Because I know no one's hit the like auto approve on everything button just yet. I mean, it's getting better, but the North Star is let's just fix what we know how to fix automatically. Why ask a human to press the approve button?
So that's a super interesting point. We thought we will get more pushback on the remediation front because of what you said.
Yeah.
What we found out is that, again, identity is a bit unique in the sense that in order to make a decision, should I remove access or not? I need to take now, as I mentioned before, 30 different data points into consideration. What we do for the users, we collect these data points, we analyze them, and we show the recommendation. What you're left with is making the decision. The AI doesn't make the decision. It doesn't make the actual remediation. It shows you all the steps it recommends doing. There's a button. You can click here to automate these steps, but you control everything and you see everything. And because today they were so far behind that process, that's enough for them. They want us to automate the collection, analyze. They don't need the actual automated button. I assume that will come in a couple of years.
Is that button red or green?
It's, I think it's orange. I think we went with memorable this time around. Previous company, blue, round logo, anything there. We went with different this time around.
Hey, way to mix it up.
I'm an accept all kind of button clicker usually. I trust Opti.
Trust everything, anytime, everywhere.
Just trust.
That's our goal.
So, Barak, we got like a minute left here, but we are at Black Hat, kind of a big deal in the cyber industry here. I've been asking a lot of guests here, like, what are the buzzwords, the phrases, the conversations you've been having with folks here at the event? What are you hearing?
Good question. I think if there's one thing that kind of excites me, I think it's a few years down the road, but let's say it's a year down the road, the kind of the vision for the industry, the identity side, is that we should aspire to zero standing access, basically. So it doesn't matter if you're looking at it from the operational perspective, compliance, humans, non-humans, risk mitigation. Eventually, if on an ongoing basis, and the only way to do it is automation and AI, ongoing basis, everyone only gets the access they need when they need it for how long they need it, then you really get that nightly security, sleep better at night, and there's no reason why we shouldn't do it across our entire system.
So basically do opposite of Frank.
Exactly. Yeah. Don't do what I say.
Exactly.
Barak from Opti, thank you, sir, for joining us on Security Live. And folks, we'll be right back with more Security Live. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere.